Edge corner number 21, June 27th, 2023, Contextual Overlays. Most investors are familiar with the basics of zoning. Land is designated residential or commercial or industrial and so forth, and what are called bulk standards are outlined in the zoning code. They tell you what you can and cannot do and how you can and cannot do it. They tell you building types and uses, floor plates and total square footage, height limits, setbacks from adjoining properties, landscape buffers, not only how wide they must be, but often what you have to plant, and so on and so on. But a new tool for the city's planners and often neighborhoods which seek to affect what is built is the overlay. One used with increasing frequency today is the contextual design overlay. The overlay focus is often design, the urban design overlay, the corridor design overlay. The long-standing neighborhood conservation overlay, meant to preserve the look of neighborhoods, stresses large areas and design specifics in those large areas. Much of East Nashville is in an NCO, and homeowners must get approval to build additions and alter home designs and details down to the paint color and what happens with the shutters. The standards are overlay wide, and the same exact standards are applied evenly to all. The CDO, Contextual Design Overlay, not to be confused with the COD, the Corridor Overlay District. The CDO, the Corridor Design Overlay, newer but becoming increasingly familiar in the lexicons of ownership and activism, is generally applied to a smaller neighborhood than the NCO, perhaps a few streets or even a targeted group of properties. The stated purpose is to establish design standards so as to maintain and protect neighborhood form and character. But unlike the NCO, the standards, while applied evenly to all, are reviewed on the basis of just a few proximate houses. While specific properties may be the focus, you can't do a CDO for, say, just a few houses in the middle of the block. A CDO must apply throughout the residential portion of a complete block face, the entire block, side street to side street. And a CDO cannot be created where a historic overlay district already exists. An individual property cannot request a CDO. It must come from the Metro Council member or from the neighborhood, and all the owners must participate. Metro Ordinance BL2014-771 outlines the specifics of CDOs. The main focus and the main design foci are: number one, street setback, the average of the setbacks of the two abutting developed lots. If one is vacant, go over to the next developed lot. Number two, height. The maximum height is 35 feet or 125% of the average of the two neighbors, whichever is less. But you can always go up at least 27 feet. Number three, maximum building coverage. Excluding detached garages and other accessory buildings, your maximum coverage is 150% of the average of the two neighbors. This is not 150% total square footage. You can do 150% on the first floor, 150% on the second, and so forth until you hit your height maximum. Number four, access and driveways and garages and parking areas. Access from alleys and rear-loaded detached garage are the intent where feasible. A plan must be submitted to zoning during the permitting process. I'm Ed Branding.